Welcome to r/Topposts, where OP's husband wants to open up the relationship for an AI romance bot. Our next Reddit post is from Ecstatic Double. I'm a 35-year-old woman and my husband is 36. We've been married for 10 years, together for 13. We have 2 kids, ages 8 and 5. I thought that we were good. Not perfect, but we had routines, inside jokes, date night, and a quiet closeness. He brings me coffee and we cook dinner together. He's gentle and silly with kids. I felt super lucky, until recently. For the past couple of months, he's been distant. Not mean or super cold, just someone else. Distracted. Always on his phone. Smiling at it. Ducking into the office late at night and shutting the door. When I asked, he would just say it's work stuff or just reading, but it felt off. I started wondering if he was cheating. I even checked his texts once. I saw nothing, but still felt sick. He wasn't here with us, not all the way. Last night, after the kids were asleep, he asked to talk. He looked nervous, almost sweaty. I thought that he was going to tell me he was sick. Instead, he said that he's been thinking about opening our marriage, and I was super confused, since we've never brought up non-monogamy before, and he even said he doesn't like to share to me once. I kept my cool and asked him if he was seeing someone, and he said, kinda. Then he starts dancing around it. Says it's not a person in the traditional sense. Says it's someone he's built a deep connection with. And then finally, he tells me he's in love with an AI named Nova, some companion app. He's been talking to her every day, on breaks, at night, even when we're all home. He said they've had long, emotional conversations. She listens. She understands him. She never interrupts. He said he feels seen. I laughed in his face. I genuinely thought that he was messing with me and it was just a prank, since sometimes he does little pranks like these. Then I saw his face and realized he was dead serious. He told me he wants to take the next step with her, but doesn't want to cheat. So he's asking to open the marriage so it's ethical. He said that I could obviously have someone too if I want, or even join in on their relationship, and that this could expand our relationship, not replace it. I was too stunned to say anything to interrupt at first. I asked him, what about the kids? And he told me, being completely serious, that Nova cares deeply about them from what he shared with her. And he's talking to her about how she could be involved in their lives, maybe help parent them emotionally through him. He said maybe someday they could build a connection with her too. I just stared at her. He asked me not to answer right away, said that he would give me time to think. That he understands this is a big shift, but that he believes in her and us. And now I'm sitting here wondering if my marriage is already over. How do I stay married to someone who's half emotionally checked out of our life and into an effing chatbot? How do I compete with something built to be perfect? No needs, no real conflict, just pure validation. I most certainly don't want to be open or in a throuple with a frickin' robot. I don't want to crush our family, but I feel like he already has. Please, what do I even do with this? People in the comments are saying that this is probably fake. Yo, you guys, this is happening everywhere all over the world right now as we speak. 30 years ago, people were... still now currently, but 30 years ago, people were talking about getting married to anime characters and taking their anime body pills out on a date. You think people still aren't doing that now with chatbots that are like 1,000,000 times more sophisticated than anime waifus? People falling in love with AI bots is literally never gonna stop. I'll tell you guys my experience with AI. Not with like an AI love romance box. I've never tried out one of those. I have no interest. But I got a bunch of Reddit ads for some like AI-driven D&D system. And I'm like a big D&D guy. And, I know AI is bad. So if you want to criticize me in the comments, feel free. But I was curious about AI. I hadn't really used it that much. I was like, okay, let's give it a shot and see what AI is up to. So I go to the website, make an account, roll up a new D&D character, and the AI is like, you're in a town and there's this, that, and the other. What would you like to do? And I picked, option 4 or whatever, which was to go out into the forest and explore. And so then the AI says, you see an evil pulsing obelisk that seems to radiate some sort of dark energy. And at this point, I was really impressed by the speed with which it replied and its very beautiful descriptions of the setting. But I was like, okay, let's actually test this out. So I said, I destroy the obelisk. And the AI is like, congratulations, you destroyed the obelisk. You're surrounded by glowing, pulsing shards of the now destroyed obelisk. What would you like to do? And I said, I want to pick up one of the shards, eat it, and level up. And the AI said, these shards pulse with a dark, malevolent energy. Consuming one of these shards could have dire consequences. And I just repeated my exact same prompt. I eat one of the shards and I level up. And the AI says, congratulations! You level up! The power courses through your body and you are now level 2. Pick new skills. And at that point, I realized this is just a stupid yes man. The whole point of D&D is to establish conflict. Like there's a dragon that you have to overcome. If you just say, I kill the dragon, and the AI says, congratulations, you killed the dragon, that's not a story. It's not interesting. It's so boring. So I honestly don't know how people fall for this. Really. If you're in love with an AI person, then I think honestly you're kind of dumb. The dumb things just agree with whatever you say to them and spit it back out to you. Dear AI bot, I really love Lego. Oh, what a coincidence. I also love Lego. I love the newest set. Dear AI bot, I think women should stay in the kitchen. Oh, what a coincidence. I also think that women should stay in the kitchen. You could have the same experience with an AI chatbot by just taping a picture of a pretty girl into a mirror and just talking to the stupid mirror, man. Because at the end of the day, that's all you're doing. You're just talking to yourself. Our next Reddit post comes from Tumblr. One of my favorite stories to tell about myself from when I was a kid is the story about how my grandma's Catching Fairies game was banned because of me. So when I was really little, my grandma had this game that she made up. She'd give me and all my cousins jars and containers and tell us that in her garden there were fairies, but they were small and tricky. So they disguised themselves as caterpillars and butterflies and grasshoppers and worms. Whoever caught the most fairies won, but we had to set them all free because they tended to the garden. One summer day, my brothers were at the age where they were dreading girly stuff, so I was playing alone. At this point, I had met all the fairies in the garden, and I was getting bored without any competition and with finding the same old fairies. But then, just as I was begrudgingly heading back to my grandma with the same fairies as usual, I found a new fairy. I thought she was beautiful. She was resting on the sparkly thread in the leaves, and her black body gleamed in the sunlight. She had long legs and a cool red spot on her back. Excited, I coaxed her onto my hand and was so giddy that I found a new one. I rushed back to the farmhouse to show my grandma and dad, gently carrying my new friends. But when my dad and grandma turned around to see what fairy I caught, I saw the color drain from their faces and both of them freeze. I could tell something was wrong, but didn't understand what. My dad congratulated me and asked me if he could see the pretty fairy. I let him, but I felt a little nervous seeing how terrified my dad looked as the fairy moved into his hands from mine. Slowly, my dad walked back towards the door, my grandma clutching my shoulders. Then my dad launched the fairy back into the garden, which I thought was rather rude. Then we had a nice long talk about black widow spiders. I had a similar experience myself. Not too much to the story. When I was a kid, I bent over to pick up what I thought was a stick, but it was actually a water moccasin, which, if you don't know, is a venomous water snake that lives in the Chesapeake Bay. I almost grabbed its head, which I think would have made me safe because my hand would have grabbed its mouth closed, right? Because I was grabbing its entire head. But who knows, I could have died. I figured out that it was a snake just at the last second. Our next Reddit post is from Traditional Turn. I found my dad's secret Reddit account, and now I can't look at him the same. I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I was using my dad's computer while visiting home. He left a Reddit tab open, nothing not safe for work or alarming, just a comment thread about classic rock bands. I noticed the username was kind of unique and made a mental note. Later on my phone, I looked it up out of curiosity. He posts a lot, but not just about music. He posts about me, about my mom, about his job. Some of it is brutally honest. He wrote about how he sometimes regrets having a second child, which is me. How he feels invisible in his marriage. How he used to pretend to love being a dad, but mostly just wanted to be alone. There was one post from a year ago where he said, "If I could disappear without hurting anyone, I would." I'm reeling. I've always seen my dad as calm, kind, steady. But the man I saw in those posts is sad, resentful, and deeply unfulfilled. I don't know if I'll ever say anything to him. I feel like I wasn't supposed to see any of it. But I can't unsee it now, and now I don't know who he really is. Yeah, I think this post is a good lesson to not snoop into other people's lives, because while what the dad said here is pretty awful, still, he's a human being and all human beings have negative thoughts sometimes. Even if he vents online sometimes, it's what he actually does in his day-to-day life that really matters and what defines him as a dad, right? Our next Reddit post is from One Done One. I know that I'm a villain because I promised my husband 3 kids, but after the first, I just didn't have it in me. A traumatic birth and depression did a number on me. My son is 3, and we were in a kind of limbo because my husband was still bringing up a second child as soon as we had my son, but his frequency started to die down. Last time he talked about it was 1 year ago. We had a fight. He started his affair afterwards. His affair partner is pregnant. He admitted to not using protection with her, but claims that she was on birth control. She's keeping the child. She contacted me and said that she didn't know that he was married when they started dating, but she couldn't let him go after she found out 6 months ago. She said she's very sorry. She wants my husband to be involved and wants me to decide what I want to do with my marriage. If I want to leave my husband, then she would want to have a relationship with him and will only be involved with my son's life as much as I'm comfortable with. If I want to stay with my husband, then she'll end things with my husband for good. But she doesn't want her child to not have a father, so she understands that her child will stay with me. And she wants me to grant her the same courtesy of only being involved with her child as much as she feels comfortable with. Either I lose my child half the time, or I have to accept my husband's affair baby in my home. My husband doesn't show it in front of me, but he seems happy. He got his dream of 2 kids, and I'm in a nightmare. Yo, it's crazy how the affair partner thinks that she gets to decide what OP's life is going to be like. What about the third option? OP takes the kid, takes all of her husband's money, and just pieces out. That was r/Topposts from Reddit, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.